Good morning. This is Mary Grace with flosstube number 10, double digits. I watched several other floss tubes. I watched one called Just Keep Stitching, which is also my motto. And they're in the 300s. There's two of them. Honestly, I like that format better, but I haven't actually made arrangements with or scheduled with anybody else to come on this floss tube with me, so you're stuck just with me. And remember, the original purpose of this floss tube was to document my journey towards trying to win at the home arts in the Montgomery County Fair. You know, have the most blue ribbon entries. And I did not come anywhere close, but that's okay. I had a good time. And so the question is, what do I do now? Judging school. I went to judging school yesterday. And I had a really good time. But it takes a really long time to become a judge, as I understand it. You're supposed to attend 3 classes, the same classes, but with 3 different teachers. But they only offered like 12 classes yesterday. And as we know, there's like 17 categories just from the home arts room. But they were also offering cut flowers, which is not in the home arts room. So I'm not sure how they ever expect you to get there. They have some judges. I brought down the age of the room again. Not completely. There was someone a lot younger than me there too. But it was nifty. Didn't get to take any of the classes I wanted to take because my first objective was to take these classes to make my work better. Have found online where to get the criteria so I can do that. But sometimes it's more interesting to take a class. And it was extremely interesting. So I wound up taking cake baking, or I should say dinner cakes, decorating cakes, food preservation, and crochet. Okay, the stuff the crochet woman was talking about was way over my head. I need to read a lot more on crochet. Food preservation is way out of my wheelhouse. And I have I still have a sugar high from yesterday today, I swear, between tasting all the food preservation items and I got this awesome beet relish and everything we did yesterday. So I'm still a sugar high. So it was a very fascinating class. I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting. They were very specific to say, don't be a bully judge. So they are aware that there are bully judges out there. And they said, you want to encourage and you want people to come back, which is what you do. We want to have variety. We want people to come back. We want to be, it's not a competition so much as it's a showcase. Okay, so we grade it. And I learned about Danish grading versus comparison grading, which is more like it's a race of these 3 who showed up. Well, that's the first best. Although under Danish principles, that should only be a second place. So, and I sit on both sides of that fence, as you both know. So glad I'm not the experienced judge. I can follow their lead, more or less. So that was what I did yesterday. But, so the next question, okay, so judging school. But it's supposed to be floss tube, which means it's supposed to be, I'm talking about stitching. So, as you may recall, there is another show I do want to enter in because my one friend gave me what I consider to be in the theme of what would be there. My other friend said she'd do it with me. So, and remember, I got to get this done by the end of the year. Although I'm getting there. Now, it has an error, but I've committed to that error. I'll find something to distract. So this is Scary Stitches, and it's for Woodlawn. And I have to do the Scary Stitches up here. And I need to hunt down the instructions and find out what comes next. But I did put a lot of stitches in because I was participating in the October challenge put on by the Halloween challenge Facebook that I'm in. 100 stitches the first week of October, 200 stitches the second week, 300 stitches the third week, 400 stitches. You get the drift. Anyways, but that wasn't the only challenge she had. She also had an owl challenge. And there's no owl here yet. And there was another owl that was on my list. So I got Midnight Owl. And as you may recall, I'd like to get Grand Champion. Grand Champion's a bit far off there, but I wouldn't mind getting a Rosette, which means champion in a field. And remember, this judge was kind enough to tell me that I was the alternate for the grand champion, not grand champion, it's just the champion on perforated paper. So this is perforated paper. They both have beads, although this one had outlining and sequins. This one I think has some outlining, but I don't think it has any sequins. So I don't know if it'll get me there. You got to have the more elements, the better. But you got to do those elements well also. So we'll see. But anyways, Midnight Owl. We'll see how that happens. So that's 2 projects. But wait, there's more. So another friend of mine gave me this owl stitcher. I'm having fun doing it. Obviously not cross stitch. It's got back stitch and satin stitch and some lazy daisy here. And this, believe it or not, goes in part towards my quilting escapade which is part of my midlife craft crisis. You didn't know about a midlife craft crisis, but here it is. So I want to possibly do more embroidery, less cross stitching on my crazy quilts. So this is the crazy quilt that I have, one of the crazy quilts that I have in process. It's called a crazy quilt because you start with an element that is 5-sided. In this case, I've done flip stitching around it, which is where you start with your initial piece. You put a piece down so they're faced together, stitch them together, and flip it open. And you continue to do this in a round pattern. But to be crazy quilted, kind of, I mean, this is a crazy quilt by itself, but I want to go more Victorian style crazy quilting, which is when you add elements to it. You specifically add embroidery. And although I've done these embroideries before, I wanted to practice doing some more embroideries. I think this is called the feather stitch. I actually did what Sarah Humphrey said. And I made myself a sample, obviously, again, still going with the flip stitch so that I would be working on the same thing. You know, I didn't want to just do the stitches on material. I wanted to do it over some flip stitches so I could see how it looked. And I did draw these lines here to make it easier for me to do. And with an iron, those lines should come out. The question is, I haven't quite figured it out, is the back. Right now, I've just got the base material here, the top material. So this isn't quilted yet because it's not considered 3 layers. So do I quilt through 3 layers and show these stitches on the back and they be my quilting stitches, or are quilting stitches only those stitches when you're going back and forth? And therefore I would cover these stitches up and then go back and quilt again. But then where would those stitches be? Would they only be in the pieces in between? I should read some more books. I'm just trying to do it via YouTube. I bought some books, so you know I could just read them and find out. But so I made a sample one and working on it to see what I'm going to do with it. But either way, I like working with all the pretty pieces of material. And I had another coupon, bought another tool to help me with cutting those. I now have my cutting board behind me set up. You can see the piece I bought earlier, and I've bought another piece with a long, so I can cut material nice and long and drop everything on the floor. But that's okay, except I want to talk about all those pieces. So that's what I did. So, but as Sarah says, when you are stitching like this, it's hard to hold the frame and do the stitches. But I don't like any of the frames that they have. All the frames that they have are things that you do at a table. And I'll stitch at a table. I stitch in my lounge chair. So I found this nifty thing online. It's the closest one I found. And it has, I don't have it put together correctly. I'm actually trying to reformat it. I think I'm going to have my son hopefully reprint me some pieces with his 3D printer to make it the way I want to do it. Because what I want to be is I want to be like a TV table with the center cut out, so it's right here above me. And the way this one works, it puts part of the piece way down here, so that doesn't really help with getting it up here. So these pieces are useless in my opinion, and they're pink, so I don't like them anyways. So I want to use these pieces And what I want to do is hook it so it's like this, so it would be held up in front of me so I could stitch. But I might have to order another set, and then I might have all the pieces I need, or I might still have to have my son, who's a mechanical engineer and has a 3D printer, print me something, although his 3D printer might not be strong enough. I don't know. So we'll see where that goes. But that is not the only thing I've done. I've done something I thought I'd never do. I picked apart a skirt that I made. This was obviously a easy square skirt, and unfortunately wasn't able to wear it as it currently was because the waist wasn't big enough. So I picked it apart, and I now plan to put another 2 panels in, and they're going to be green, but I don't know if I like the length, so I might even pick the lace off to make it longer. I don't know. It's another work in process. These are all my various work in processes as I have my midlife craft crisis, because these are fun things to do. And I hope that you have enjoyed floss tube number 10, and we'll see where it goes from here. Thank you.